to some extent, I do take some of what Jamie's saying, because the blood and thunder that goes with the Premier League, which we've seen recently over the last 3 or 4 days, with the goals that we've seen at Nottingham Forest, the goals that we've seen between Leicester and Fulham, and obviously Everton's performance, it's blood and thunder, it's do or die mentality. Yeah. Whereas this is a bit more sophisticated. This is a bit more of a level where you've got to appreciate. It's like watching a beautiful boxer rather than a slugger. This is a scenario where you're watching two of the best teams in the world with some of the best technicians on display that are killing you with kindness in terms of the beauty that you're watching a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, Danny, you played. What did you make of it?
Really high quality from a defensive point of view, from a possession point of view, technical, all the things Simon just said. I think what Jamie's missing, and I understand the comparison of what we normally watch, but in the latter stages of a first leg game, last 10 or 15 minutes, and you've both worked really hard and you've got a draw, there is a kind of reluctance to go all out to try and get a win and end up losing, especially in the first leg.
Sure.
So that's the big thing in the end of most first legs that are equal. You very rarely see one team going all out to try and gain an advantage, because you can end up losing it.
Sure.
So I think that was part of the reason. But overall, the quality of so many aspects of play from both sides. I don't just mean the obvious stuff, the goals, the technical ability. I'm talking about the concentration levels, the communication, the covering of each other. The amount of work that went on that pitch defensively from both sides, it was so well organised.
I mean, Madrid woke up to headlines yesterday, Danny, before the game. Erling Haaland, monster. Now, I don't know if you've seen it online. It's doing the rounds at the moment how Rudiger combated Haaland last night, literally living in his shadow. He was literally all over him, and it was all legal. It was all above board. But I think he showed us a way, Simon. That's maybe the way that some defenders here should try and cope with Erling Haaland. Just try and dominate him. Just do not leave his space.
He's a tremendous player, Rudiger. Very, very athletic, very clever. He was very fortunate in some ways. That's not taken away from his ability in the job he did, in that the way Real Madrid set up to try and combat City was to drop off and let them have the ball for large parts of the game. Yeah. So there's no space behind him to have a race, first and foremost. He had plenty of bodies in front of him, so when it did go into his feet, he could have a little nibble, and there's always people coming to get the ball off his feet, helping him. He didn't get isolated very often because of the quality around him. But saying that, nevertheless, to actually be as concentrated for that, I mean, the main part of his job, I thought, which he did really well, was not the rough and tough. It's when the ball goes wide, or in those areas where De Bruyne is just outside the box and he's looking to clip balls in, the crosses or the through balls, and he never left him. You know, I think only once maybe did he get a header at the back post? He might have been offside, I think, in the first half. Yep. And he got one on the inside left, a shot from an acute angle, which you'd expect the keeper to save. Yeah.
So it's finally poised, Danny, and we'll get to that in a second. A quick look at the second leg in a second, how we see it shaping up. This was Pep post-match.
Really tight game. Congratulations, of course, to the team, because this scenario, this competition against this team is always so difficult for the history, but especially for the quality they have. We started really well the game, and when we were better, they make an incredible transition for Camavinga and an incredible finishing for Vinicius. And when they were better than us in the second half, we scored a goal. So it was a tight game. He's open to Manchester, like will be a final, playing at home with our people, and looking forward for it.
I can't make up my mind, Simon. Who's got the edge going into the second leg?
I think slightly marginally Manchester City, because they're playing at home. I do think they are a better side than Real Madrid, but I do think Real Madrid are steeped in such depth of understanding of how to win these sort of games. And there was an article written, I think it was by Sam Wallace in one of the press, talking about you saw every permutation of a football team, from Madrid dominating the game to being dominated themselves, to being physical, and every aspect of a game that they can compete in to be able to overcome the obstacles. Look, I think I wouldn't be surprised either way. It's not me sitting on the fence. No. I wouldn't be surprised either way. 1-1 is not an ideal scenario. Even 1-0 to Madrid wouldn't have been an ideal scenario. I picked Madrid to win the game, 2-1 yesterday. You picked it as a draw, didn't you? You didn't think they'd lose.
I didn't think they'd lose.
And I think that it's nip and tuck. Yeah. I mean, if Man City go 1-0 up in that game and Madrid start to have to chase the game, then Haaland will become more of a feature, because they'll have to play high up the field, and Rudiger won't have the opportunity to do what he did in the first game, because there'll be space in behind. But all of that is if and or buts. What it does mean is that you're going to see a really, really fascinating game And I think it's as much about how Man City want to approach it as what Madrid can do in a game. I think the balance of probability is in favour of Manchester City.
I mean, Danny, Rio Ferdinand said last night, you play Real Madrid, you're playing history. You're playing against history. Is that in the players' minds?
No, I think more in the mind would be last season, where they thought they had the game done.
Yeah.
That might creep in the second leg. But City haven't lost a Champions League game at home for 5 years. You know, they should have every belief in themselves that they can go and win the game. But I agree with Simon that first goal is hugely relevant in the second leg, because Madrid don't want to have to chase against City. That will cause them. That could be any score then.
Yeah.
If Madrid can score first, then we've got a problem. City have got a problem because Madrid can drop off.
We mentioned yesterday, Danny, that Wayne Rooney said over the weekend in his newspaper column that Manchester City would, quotes, blow Real Madrid away. Nobody blows Real Madrid away, do they?
No.
With all due respect to Wayne, who knows a hell of a lot more about football than
I
me.
think on the odd occasion, any of the top teams in the world can blow anyone away if they're at it and the other team have a bad day. But generally, if Real Madrid, Man City played 10 times, 9 out of 10, they're going to be super tight games, because you are talking about the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
You're talking about elite players, elite mindsets, people who rise to the occasion when they play. So all those players, when they turn up on the pitch, so when you look at Real Madrid's form this season in La Liga, struggled, they lost to them and they lost to them. Those players, when they see Man City in the tunnel, they know about all the players. They know how good they are. They know they've got to be at it. Rudiger doesn't always play that well. Carvajal's not always at it like that. You know, the level of performance. Vinicius Junior was a man possessed because he was up against Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker was he was at it.
Great matchup.
It was a brilliant matchup.
Great respect between the two of them as well.
But that's because they know how good they are.
Yeah.
They're playing against the best.
I think he's a fabulous player, Kyle Walker. I really do.
I
think he's a fabulous player. I don't think he gets the credit that he should get. I think we pass on observations about him, and sometimes the off-field stuff has taken precedence. But I think he's a fabulous fullback. Absolutely fabulous.
He's the best defensive one-on-one fullback in the world, bar none.
Yeah.
Bar none.
I loved it, Danny, the other night. I spoke to him at the Etihad after they beat Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, and he said, that's fine, that's all right, but we've got to beat Fulham now. I said, yeah, I know, but that's at the weekend. No. It means nothing if we go to Fulham and we don't get 3 points. I mean, their minds were already on it. Having said that, Simon, this is the same Real Madrid that went to Anfield and scored 5.
Yeah, but that's against Liverpool side that have been out of sorts for a proportion of the season.
The famous Anfield atmosphere.
Yeah, I know, but Liverpool were beaten quite a few times at Anfield this season. So
that was a unique gals there. That was a really strange.
Yeah.
So we moved past that, but no serious observer really took much notice of what Wayne Rooney said about they're going to blow Madrid away, because that was a Machiavellian piece. It was a Man United player talking about Man City being on the cusp of a treble and getting everybody at it, because it wasn't a parallel universe where Man City were going to... Now, if they go and get the first goal against Madrid in the leg at the Etihad and Madrid have to come out like we've discussed, then maybe... But not but not going to the Bernabeu and running riot there. That was never going to happen. So I don't think many people or serious football observers took that as anything rather significant or insignificant, more to the point.
I'll put it out there to Manchester City fans this morning. I mean, who has the edge going into the second leg at the Etihad? Do you feel good about it? You feel good about a final coming up and that you will be in it? 03717 223344.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.